Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video, and this is going to be my first impressions on the Zero Tolerance 0850. Now, let me start off before I get into, I'll let you take a good look at the knife, but before I get into all of the features and size and weight and all that stuff that we normally do, I want to point out that in this video I'm going to talk about some other things, okay? Some things that have been brought up by the ApostleP's initial review of this knife, and that are things that I think we all kind of know about, but maybe we don't voice often enough, okay? And that is, first off, that there is hype surrounding any new knife that we get. Think about your own experience, okay? When you get that new knife in the mail and you open the box and you pull it out and you open it for the first time, you're excited, right? Well, guess what? So are the reviewers that you watch on here, okay, myself included. And so I'm excited about this knife. I think it's a cool knife, and I do appreciate the design and I appreciate the features. So that excitement is going to come through in my review. Now, if this were a knife that I didn't like, let's imagine here I had a 0460, which frankly I do not like at all. I don't like the color, I don't like the design in general, I don't like the blade shape. There wouldn't be the same level of excitement, and that would come through in the review as well. Now, in the case of the knife that Rob got, the centering was poor. He'd taken the knife apart and tried to fix it and was unable to do so, and that's going to sour you on a knife right away. And as well, he wasn't a big fan of this design. And of course, if you're watching a knife video, you know, mine or anyone else's, and you look at the knife and you go, I think that knife is really ugly, then you shouldn't buy it, right? Like, if you don't like the look of the knife, you kind of don't like the knife. So it's probably not one for you to add to your collection. So that gets some of the hype discussion out of the way. I will, as I work through, tell you what points I kind of agree with Rob on, because there are some things that I think are a little hokey about this knife. And there's one thing that I specifically dislike, although not enough to put me off from buying the knife. Okay, so let's go ahead and work through the features and then the size and weight. There's the box, by the way. I just thought that would that's nice to have in there for a first impressions video. So, blade on this guy is sort of a modified Wharncliffe or modified reverse Tanto style blade. 20 CV, stonewash flats, satin grinds, and I really like that. And ZT has done this on a few knives, and I like it on all of them. I really am a sucker for the stonewash with the satin. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of that. I also really like this design. It's cool and it's different. It's visually appealing, while at the same time being very functional. And there are lots of really cool knives out there, and I look at them and go, that is a cool knife. But at the same time, I realize not terribly functional. Well, this kind of does a good job of getting both of those things right. And of course, the 20 CV steel is good to go. Very high end, very good quality, good performance steel. Lockup and deployment is achieved through a subframe lock, and they have prominently displayed that this is a patented subframe lock. Of course, you guys are probably familiar with the drama between, hold on, I'll get that patent number zoomed in a little bit for you. There you go. You guys are probably more than familiar with the drama between Kershaw and Microtech, Anthony Marfione. So Kershaw's got the patent number prominently displayed there. It is a phosphor bronze washer pivot, and it's a very well done phosphor bronze washer pivot. Let's see if I can, I always get a little nervous when I'm doing this left-handed on camera because there's a higher chance than normal that I'll mess it up. But in that case, I pulled it off just fine. So yeah, very smooth knife, very comfortable. And one of the things that I always notice about a knife is, you know, is it comfortable? Is it easy to deploy? Could I, you know, sit there watching TV and open and close this knife over and over again without feeling uncomfortable? And definitely you can with this knife. It is sort of this decorative pivot, and we'll speak to that when I get to the design, but it's nice to see a cool decorative pivot, and I actually like the way that they've done this, although I don't like the way they've carried this theme throughout the knife in some other areas, okay? Thumb stud being one of them. You know, the thumb stud is fine here, but I could kind of take it or leave it. It does, as someone said, looks like kind of a beer keg attached to the back of the blade there. From this angle, again, it looks great. From this angle, I'm not that crazy about it. So the angle at which you see the knife, I think, does make a bit of a difference. So phosphor bronze washer, subframe lock, titanium, does have the stainless steel lock bar insert. You can see it there. And the way they've done this is they've milled out the carbon fiber handle and set that subframe lock right in. So if you're familiar with the subframe lock, you kind of know how that works. There are a few other Kershaw knives that use it. Next thing to talk about is the carbon fiber scales. And these are very, very attractive. This is really well done carbon fiber. Now, if you want to ask me, is it as nice as the carbon fiber on the Spyderco Magnitude? No, it's not. The Magnitude remains the absolute nicest finish on carbon fiber that I have ever seen. This looks cool, and I like the blue accents. Certainly like the blue more than the red. And it'll be interesting to see if they offer some other colors. Now, let me point out, as other people already have, that right, the way they've done this is to weave another material into the carbon fiber, right? Carbon fiber, by its nature, is black, okay? That's just how the world works. They have added some other material to get this blue. Now, does that affect the performance, and, you know, is your knife gonna break or fall apart or something now? No, I don't think so. Probably if you had a, you know, a materials testing lab, yes, you would get a lower, breaking force on this because you have compromised the structure of that carbon fiber just a little bit. But the reality is, for a folding knife, that's not going to be an issue at all. It doesn't really matter. I do like the fact that they have used just the carbon fiber, which really lightens up the knife. And you'll see that in a second when I bring the scale in. Now, I turn the knife over, and here, oh yeah, milled titanium pocket clip. That's very functional, but is only single position, which is going to put off the lefties, of course. Now, let's take a look at the one feature that I dislike. That is the backspacer. The way that they've kind of milled, had they just left well enough alone and just put a milled aluminum backspacer in here, I would have been like, hey, cool backspacer. But they had to put these little sort of indents in here and make this kind of look like bullets in a tube magazine. And that sucks, okay? That looks really cheesy, and I don't like it. The other thing I don't like is this. I would have been much happier if they just, you know, kind of done something round here, left this either flat, or even, you know, milled the lines in it. The lines look just fine. But carrying the six-shooter theme just a little too far with that backspacer. Now, obviously, I didn't think it was a deal breaker because I still bought the knife, but I'm gonna go on record as saying, yeah, I don't like that particular styling cue. Maybe some of you love it, but I just feel like they went a little too far at that point, okay? By the way, designers on this guy are Todd Rexford and Dmitry Sinkovich, very popular, very sought after designers, and this knife is modeled after a collaboration, a custom collaboration that they did, that I think they only did like 2 models, and so they're very, very expensive, very hard to get your hands on. All right, let's move on now to size and weight. Trying to get the ruler in here in a way that kind of makes sense. Let's see here. So we put this here. Overall, the knife is basically 8 3/4 inches. You can kind of see that for yourself if you want to pause it and take a closer look. The blade length on this guy is 8 3/4, almost exactly, just a little bit under that 3/4, and the handle length itself is basically right on 5 inches, okay? So that's the kind of size you're dealing with. Let's go ahead and grab you a weight as well. I'll grab the scale. So hopefully this time the scale is already in the units that I want it to be in. And yeah, that looks to be fine. Okay, so 4.28 ounces, that's pretty lightweight, guys. That's a very comfortable knife to carry. And especially, honestly, for the size of this knife, 2.8 ounces or 4.28 ounces is very lightweight. And I've got to say, from experience, this is one of those knives, and I said the same thing if you recall about the ZT 0801, that you know, it's a knife that looks lighter, I mean, looks heavier than it is. You see this knife and you pick it up off the desk and you go, whoa, yeah, that's really, really lightweight for its size, and it really is. So that's definitely a win on the part of ZT on constructing this to be a really lightweight, easy to carry knife. So what's my initial take, okay? What are my overall thoughts about this? I do like the design. I like the way it looks. I like the ergonomics. Oh yeah, I don't know if I should say this now or not, but I did some cutting this morning and I did choke up on the blade here, and actually I find this pretty comfortable. So this is another point I'm gonna have to disagree with Rob on a little. The roundness here and the radius is large enough that it's not like a sharp point. So my thumb, you know, has no discomfort just being in this position here. And I discovered that just this morning while I was cutting up some stuff that for my wife who's getting ready to entertain today. Anyway, so let's get to my overall take on the knife. I do like the overall design, and from this view, I think it looks really cool. From this view, again, I think it looks really, really cool. Really sharp knife. Yes, as I said before, I don't like this particular view, but it's something I can overlook because everything else seems to be done really, really well. I like the subframe lock. I like subframe locks in general. I like the deployment, I like the ease of use. And so, you know, if you're a ZT fan, if you're a Sinkovich fan, a Rexford fan, if you are into this knife, if you like the way it looks the way I do, then I don't think you'll be disappointed in buying it. I know that there's one bad example out there for sure, and Rob's was that one. I'm sure Kai is kicking themselves wishing that Rob would have got a better specimen, but what can you do? So there you go, guys. That's my initial take on the Zero Tolerance 0850. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my full review and discussion of this knife coming up in, you know, a month or a month and a half or so. We will talk to you soon.